well, I got what I wanted, but I didn't see that coming at all. Really, I was totally not expecting that vote to play out the way I wanted it to, and the way it did, just woo, that was shocking. Okay, let's rewind the tape here. The first thing that we get in this episode is Dan issuing another remark about how flippers never win or do well, and then Rodney commenting that he's going to again go to his four-person group later down in the road of the game, which we were kind of predicting he would, yeah, but here's the thing, though. If you listen to Joe's interview and watch the secret scenes for this episode, it might make you rethink your position on the blue-collar men, and it did for me, because it's made me realize that actually we're only getting one part of the story, and that it seems like almost everyone out there does like each other a good deal. It's just they get annoyed with each other's behavior at certain times, and the fact that they can just never truly escape each other. Kind of like how many people argue in Big Brother, even though I can't think of any real examples, but I can relate to that idea because, heck, even my own family, I get tired of them after a while, even though my life currently is more about doing more important things in my life than like this, and then just passing some of the time that I have between those real big important things along with exercising. Yeah, so I kind of identify with that, but this episode, Joe's interview with Delton Ross and the secret scenes, maybe we think my feelings on all the blue-collar people again, because Dan, well, everybody doesn't hate him as much, so that's pretty much it, his position. I mean, Rodney, well, he's revealed that he's got a nice side, and that he actually could, theoretically, engineer something a lot bigger than we thought he could, and then Mike, he's also thinking about the end, because he's got a secret scene where he comments that even though he's got a 7-person alliance, which is huge, he needs to start thinking about that again, and of that 7-person alliance, almost everybody actually has potential to either do a big move strategically or sway influence with everybody, yeah, so now I've no longer got any qualms against them. I think I have them figured out, right? So not much to comment before the reward challenge, and that was a pretty nice challenge, both in design and how the teams ended up being relatively even in terms of strength, because it was alpha males, then the 2 fat guys, sorry Will, and then there was another round of alpha males, and then there was the 2 girls bringing up the rear, yeah, so it was actually pretty surprisingly evenly matched, although Mike just did exceptional with that grappling hook, and given how I think some people in the history of the show have had trouble with working that kind of thing, yeah. I'm impressed, man. And as for this reward, I actually probably would have gone on it, but Rodney makes a valid point. If you're going to be eating chicken and rice back at your camp, you're actually receiving better nutrients than the food that's on the reward, even though on the reward they do have clean water, as Dan revealed in the secret scene. Because, you know, you remember Wes from last season, too much of it, you're going to eventually hurl and all that stuff, even though I don't think anyone truly got sick on that reward. I don't know, it's not that they wouldn't show that, and then the fact that there was no clue there, well, I guess since the idol has been found, they're not doing it anymore, and I seriously hope that everybody assumes that it's been found at this point, given the actions that took place in this episode, huh? Right. So between the challenges, we got more information on Jen kind of wanting to quit the game, although she states that she's actually going to try and make use of her exit by getting everyone pissed off at her to be voted out. Now, I think something similar to that has happened before, where people have either, like, asked to be voted out or have caused so much annoyance that they hope to be voted out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, but I was hoping that it wouldn't work out, because I've wanted Joe gone for quite a while now, and even though he it hasn't been making that many moves in this game. Just everybody likes him, and he did actually have potential to make some big moves. It was just the other people were making the moves before really he could, because he keeps stating in his interviews that, when the merge started, he wanted to be low-key, try and make everyone believe that he wasn't as tight with the no-callers as he was, obviously, but that ended up backfiring because Will flipped for whatever reason. Even Joe doesn't seem to entirely get why, and just, yeah. So, to anyone who watches this and questions whether I hate Joe, I don't hate the guy at all. It's just that he's a threat to the people that I'm actually rooting for, okay? But I will follow up a little bit of a disclaimer for that. The only reason we're getting these exact events happening is because we have this exact group of people in the game, okay? Because trust me, I seriously think that had one person in this game been replaced, especially one person on the Blue Collar Tribe, this season would be entirely different, okay? Right. So, I do think that it's a tad bit better what Jen was planning to do than just flat out quitting the game, even though she wouldn't be that much better than Janu. Although I do give, I think, well, I don't know, Janu, it kind of feels a little better what she did, because that was old school, no hidden idols, less tribal switches and strategy making, and to be fair, in Palau, all that cast was actually a lot closer to each other than this group, even though I think, like with Palau and here, a lot of people like each other, yeah. Right, so that did present an interesting dynamic, but I could tell more than likely one of those two, if not both of them, was going to get to the end of the challenge, and I was kind of right. Joe made the top 4 and Jen made the top 2, and just like, oh man, I cannot tell you how nervous I was watching that challenge, because they were showing both her and Tyler having problems, but usually what happens is that one person is shown, having issues for a while, and then the other person all of a sudden just goes from okay to whoop, and just flat out loses all of a sudden. That's kind of what happened. HVV Final 5. Pav was noted to have quivering dishes, and all of a sudden Colby's stack just folds over for whatever reason, despite the fact that they were both stacking them exactly the same, so, But when she won, I was like, total relief, because I was thinking that Joe was definitely gone. But then, Shirin, in something that I probably should have figured and wondered why no one had ever done this in the past, comes up with the idea that potentially she and Joe can take advantage of the split vote and then vote on the other person by using their votes in the split vote. Just, yeah. I was wondering why no one had ever, done this in the past, turn on their ally in the split vote, really, and they were coming up with a pretty ingenious strategy, even though Joe's fake idol thing apparently could have mattered a lot more had either Tyler not see him try and gulp down the clue, or Mike found the idol, yeah. Although what Joe was trying to spin it as was that it was a merge idol, even though at this point I think we can all safely say that it's 2 idols, so I don't need you to comment anymore about this Spanish fly, okay? I do read your comments though, trust me. Okay. So, yeah, there was all kinds of options that could have been happening for this tribe, although it was clear that it was a no-caller definitely going. Now, and how do I feel about Mike trying to reel in Shirin? Well, these things can happen, Just the right social interaction and discussion topic can have a big impact in your fate in the game, or just any random fate. Because let's give you a story about me personally. Back in spring 2013, I think, so almost 2 years ago, I was going through a period where I was drinking a lot of caffeine, that kind of thing, so I was getting a lot of caffeine headaches, and it was just excruciating dealing with them. And then even though I had heard various conversations, about you shouldn't be drinking this much caffeine, I kept drinking a typical glass of soda every day that I was at work. it was recommended that I stop. I wasn't told this directly. I just heard two of my coworkers talking about it, and then I just randomly decided, even though I had contemplated this in the past, just to go 2 weeks without drinking soda. After 2 weeks, I drank my typical amount of soda. Then I go, I just don't like this anymore. So then I went 3 whole months without another drop. Yeah, that's not to say that I'm not completely off soda, but I'm 97% off it, yeah. So it's just random things like that, you know? It can have a big impact. It'll be interesting to see Shirin's fate now, because I don't think she necessarily has a chance of winning this game now, but now, like with Will, I think she has potential to get far, because if you don't remember this, at the end of my episode 7 vlog, I mentioned that I could see Will making top 5, and he still could. Yeah. So at Tribal, everybody keeps talking about all the random stuff, and then the bit about Jen trying to throw it is laid out there. And I'm surprised I didn't really get anybody to potentially switch the vote. And Tyler and Rodney are like, I have no idea what's going to happen. Really, dudes? If you're splitting the vote and just think about the numbers, you know you're safe. Seriously? Come on. I mean, like, seriously. Really? And then as for Jeff not verifying that it was a real idol, I really like the fact that he did that in hindsight, because one, it makes sense with the rules, but if he had exposed that it wasn't a real idol, that would have sealed Joe's fate like right away, and that would have dispelled the idol rumor that he had it in his pockets. And it goes to show that really was a brilliant move by Mike, because given how he planted the idea that Joe had an idol, Joe had to go along with it, but it made it so he couldn't ever look for it. Yeah, nice, Mike, really. So everybody starts going through all their plans, and then it turns into 4 votes Jen, 4 for Joe, and then 1 vote for a random person, as we all predicted, and then the last vote comes, and then Shirin ended up changing her vote to Joe, which I had been starting to think she maybe would, but I thought there was only like a 1% chance that she would, but then you just see her expression, and then you realize she had been thinking that for a long time. Heck, even Joe mentioned in his interview or sometime on camera that even his alliance had turned against him, so it was kind of shocking that, in hindsight, that Jen, was so willing to help him out again. So I was totally shocked by the blind side, but, well, not really blind side, because the only blind side actually happened to Joe and Jen, so I don't know if you can really count it as a blind side, to be honest. But once that vote came around, I was like, yes! Yeah. I'll admit, though, I do feel sorry for him, absolutely, because, man, he tried to stay in this game, and just, man. So many things could have happened in hindsight that could have allowed him to stay in the game, like any random interaction on Eskameka after the switch, Tyler not noticing him chugging the idol. Heck, even him saying that he actually didn't have the idol when Mike first came up to him, but yeah. So I wanted him gone, absolutely, but yeah, I feel sorry for him. He put in a heck of a lot of effort, yeah. So next week, everybody appears to be turning on each other, and which is what I predicted, because now it makes sense, because Shirin has seemingly gone over to the blue plus white collar, although it truly is blue plus white collar now, because all the blue and white collar was voted the same way, and Jen appears to have distanced herself so much, stating that, I just don't want to be here anymore. So how do I feel about these two? They still have potential to get farther in the game, but I feel like the main threat when it was blue versus no collar is pretty much defeated, because Shirin now just has potential to get farther in the game, but I still feel like it'll take a miracle for her to win. And then as for Jen, she's got to pull another big move in order for people to win favor with her again, and also hope that she's sitting next to the right people at the final 3. And Jeff also revealed that apparently if anyone quits, they are not going to be on the jury. So, Oh, and if you didn't read Dawson Ross's Q&A with Jeff, the Survivor auction is taking place next episode, and apparently we get another first happening there. Whatever, I'm just thrilled to have the Survivor auction back, because next to the challenge, that's just a questionnaire. Who's the biggest poser? Who sucks the most? Just it's my favorite individual challenge of all time. So yeah, let's see what happens, people.